Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Going to get started here in a second. We got some good topics to get into. We got some fun stuff to do, silly, and maybe even a little deep. We'll get into some topics here. People are fighting. Everyone's mad about double standards. The blacks, the whites, the left, the right. And so we'll get into some of this and some of that. Before we do that, if you could drop that follow, drop that subscribe. Here on YouTube, you've been watching and you're not subscribed yet. That's one way you can help. Let's game the system. Let's game the algorithm here and get out there on the YouTube airwaves or whatever. So drop that subscribe, that like, and that comment. That engagement does help a lot. That's one way you can support. It's much appreciated. You can also do the same over there on Rumble. It's starting to get going over there, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. It's another place where you can super chat if you don't want to give your moolah to the YouTube overlords. But we appreciate the YouTube overlords here, right? We appreciate our slave masters, as the Bible says. So, appreciate it again. Follow, subscribe, and of course, we'll be getting into some topics and your calls, 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on there. We'll definitely be taking calls about whatever you want to talk about. So everyone's mad about double standards, right? The Trump indictments. You got the left, the right, the conservatives, the MAGA people, two sides of justice. You got the left saying it's been like this. The blacks, it's saying it's been racist. So people are mad, fighting each other, fighting different sides, fighting within groups, in-group fighting. They talk about in-group preference, but all I see is in-group fighting. I don't know about you. They call it in-group preference. They call it in-group love, in-group. I don't see that. I don't see the in-group love. I see in-group hate. It's a shame. What a shame. Upside down world. Where's all your in-group anyways, so groups are fighting within. And so people are mad. So who are they mad at today, Nick? They're mad at Bradley Cooper's one. You may have heard of Bradley Cooper, okay? They're calling it Jew face. I almost don't even they made that word so spicy, I almost can't even say it, but they're calling it that. I'm not calling it that. They're calling it Jew face because he's playing a Jewish character in a movie. You may have heard of this. Silly news, but check it out. Follow me here. Take this in. Bradley Cooper is playing a part, and he's being accused of stealing a role and playing it in a caricature way that's offensive and anti-Semitic. Okay? I'm talking about this movie called Maestro. And he's playing a conductor, legendary musical conductor. He plays legendary musical conductor Leonard Bernstein. And so in the movie, Bradley Cooper is wearing a prosthetic nose. That's what's got everybody, or at least the media, and then us signal boosters looking for a little content. Look, don't blame me. I like being thematic. It's going to all fit. So it's all going to fit to the show. One thing, you can say whatever you want about me on many things, but I'm at least thematically consistent. Maybe. So for the media, because it's probably not that important to the average person, let's be real. But the media, the celebrities, the producers, the Hollywood people, they care about this, and the signal boosters like me. They're saying he's wearing a prosthetic nose and it's not okay. And they're calling it Jew face. Let me show you. I guess how am I going to talk about it and not show you? I got to at least show you what they're mad about. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So, Bradley Cooper playing Leonard Bernstein, as you can see here in a moment while I show you here. Check it out. Come on. We're going to see different images. That's him. Okay, let me switch here. Boom. That's him right there, right? That's him. That's Bradley Cooper playing Leonard Bernstein. Okay, this is supposed to be some images. It's probably an ad. Lord, I have ad block, guys. Some of these apps, oh, no. I must have it off. I think Daily Mail requires, these websites are getting crafty, okay? We're going to have to do an arms race with these people. It's basically an arms race. An advertisement, arms race. We'll be getting into that later. They can now read your brainwaves. Soon they'll be putting these in our minds, and then we're going to have to get ad block implants. But here's Bradley Cooper in Maestro, apparently. And some scenes. Here's the nose, the prosthetic nose that's got, how dare he, you're seeing Bradley Cooper don Jew face. Not very nice. At least to some. But doesn't he look like the guy? I mean, I'll show you a side-by-side, I guess, here in a moment. I mean, if it's accurate, I mean, what do you want me to say? Aren't you trying to portray the character accurately as an actor? We were talking about method acting the other day, remember? We had someone explain to me that you have to channel the role. We had a very nice call the other day who gave their take. I believe it was Scott. Giving their take on acting, and how it requires the channeling of the spirit almost. Maybe one can see it that way. Well, you have here Stop Anti-Semitism, one of these organizations who love to police this kind of things. They're the watchdogs out here circling the wagons should anybody dare any anti-Semitism, okay? And I speak of it in that way because it's a little, in my opinion, it's gone too far. They take it they exaggerate and really aren't really defending anybody or helping, but really just exacerbating and justifying anger, right? So it's just to be accurate. You can't say it about me. I don't have a problem with defending someone. It's just they're exaggerating and exacerbating a problem in America. And the problem is anger and the justification of it. And here they are tweeting saying, Hollywood cast Bradley Cooper, a non-Jew, to play Jewish legend Leonard Bernstein and stuck a disgusting, exaggerated, quote-unquote, Jew nose on him. All while saying to Jake Gyllenhaal, an actually Jewish man who has dreamt of playing Bernstein for decades. I guess they passed this guy up. They passed up Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry, bud. Sickening, they say. And I guess this is a picture of Leonard Bernstein and then a picture of Bradley Cooper in the nose. Hold on. I mean, I guess this is Jake Gyllenhaal, right? Who's an apparently actually Jewish person. And I don't see a big old nose on Jake Gyllenhaal. What the heck, Bradley Cooper? Now, look, this is Bradley Cooper, I guess, normally. I don't know. I'm seeing some images where this Leonard Bernstein, I guess it's maybe not very accurate, the portrayal that Bradley Cooper has. But then I'm seeing other depictions. Like, watch.
Fourth.
Whoa, wait a second. I mean.
And now we can mix intervals of the.
Looking rather. Hey, look, don't get mad at me. I'm just reporting the news. look, I'm just saying, okay? So it's up to, look, you can have your problems here. You can say this or that. Whatever. But you got Stop Anti-Semitism commenting on this. And then you got other people. I saw some other people, Jewish people online saying, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Why are you guys getting mad about it? I'm here wondering, is this bait? Is this like bait? It's a trap. It's a trap for our attention, at least, that's for sure. A trap to be anti-Semitic. What's funny is that the film, as I read that it's produced and directed by Bradley Cooper, so you can't say, you hear, the Hollywood owns all this. Hollywood is owned by the Jews, and so they're just infighting and doing that. I don't know. It's a little funny, I guess, if you see that as funny. It's filmed and produced, directed by Bradley Cooper. So anyways, wishing you all well in that and all that. It is a marketing campaign, says everything is upside down. Right? It sure feels like it sometimes. Wasn't it Jamie Foxx who recently, this is totally conspiratorial, but I don't find any of this important. So that's why I'm loose with these kinds of things. So don't read into it and go like, wow, Nick is saying something deep. I find no interest in, for example, what I'm about to say. Jamie Foxx, right? That was the whole thing where he was, speculation. He wasn't seen in public due to a health problem. Was it the schmack Was it this or that? And then he comes out with a series or a movie that says it's titled They Cloned Whoever. What was you know what I'm talking about? Jamie Foxx, They Cloned Tyrone, like some Netflix movie or special. And so, wow, I believe he even came out with a public statement that I'm fine on the day of or near the release of this. And so there's the conspiracy of marketing, and it's a marketing ploy, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's all like, it's all interesting, don't you think? Again, I don't find it important at all, and I don't think you should either. Because it could very well all be marketing and movies, right? It's the movie industry. The big screen, it's all a show, right? But what's not a show is anger, infighting, and people using that. People, groups, individuals, your neighbors, your so-called loved ones, using that against you. Right? Okay. So, yeah, this is total bait. Bradley Cooper, let me put on this prosthetic nose. Hey, why are you calling me anti-Semitic? Then he turns to the side. He's looking at you. Bradley Cooper looks at the ADL representative straight on and says, hey, why are you calling me anti-Semitic for? And then he turns to the side and you see this, you see just how truly long the nose is. It's like, well, hold on. It's bait. It's all bait. Just a distraction. Who's watching Maestro? Okay. I don't watch anything. That's a joke. So, infighting, all this fighting, we even have some Jew-on-Jew violence. Of course, this Bradley Cooper story allowing me to segue here into more nonsense. More nonsense. I'm talking about Laura Loomer. And she's been a right-wing activist journalist for a while. You know, all I really remember about her is that when she locked herself to the Twitter headquarters, back when it was, I'm old enough to remember, back, you know, when it was Twitter, she handcuffed herself to the headquarters. I believe she was like censored. And so she was, if I remember, I was actually earlier on in all that censorship stuff, huh? She was bringing attention to all that. A politically involved woman, I believe I heard that term on the Hake Report. And, you know how that goes. But she recently met with Trump, right? Who was pictured with her. Which has brought a little bit of heat on Trump. Not like he already has enough. He already has enough heat, right? Do you need any more heat? Maybe he can handle the heat. Bring on the heat. But not unlike the dinner he recently had with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, two names they shall not be named. And you got a lot of a public backlash because those are names that the media can quickly latch onto, which is a little unfair, let's be real. Just to quickly latch onto a name and then try and latch on, because Trump meets with a lot of people. These people meet with a lot of people, so it's a little unfair. You get Trump meeting, he meets with the people. He loves doing it. And sometimes he's advised not to, but he'll do it anyways. You got to respect that and appreciate it, because that's the reports that he was advised not to, at least with this Laura Loomer. But you gotta appreciate someone who's just gonna meet, who's unafraid to just meet with someone. I mean, can you really implicate beyond that? It's just a little too much. It's like when they see the pictures of him with Epstein. Trump and Epstein, you see this picture, you quickly ignore every other picture. I'm describing the relationship that people have with this whole Epstein story, which is interesting to bring light to, because as much as people rail against these sordid details and sometimes speculate, really, because I don't know the full story, so it sometimes seems to me that there's some speculation going on with the whole Epstein thing. Not denying it either, but you gotta marvel a little bit at this relationship where people rail on that and bring maybe so much passion and emotion to the whole thing that you almost breathe life into things that are strategically against you. You know, when we're talking about sides here, we're talking MAGA, the conservatives. You almost breathe life into things you didn't mean to. Like, you'll speculate on every picture that every person that Epstein is pictured with, that you breathe life into the picture that Trump was pictured too, but you really don't know, right? Don't you find that a little interesting? You breathing life into things you didn't mean to. The way we do that in our individual lives, huh? Am I making some sense here? Huh? I just know this is right. Don't Nick is so deep. No. You see that in your own life. I just know this is like somewhat true. So, not unlike the dinner that he had with them, he's got a little heat on him for meeting with this Laura Loomer. And I don't know much about her, but there's some infighting going on. Even so now Laura Loomer's now mad at Ben Shapiro. So the saga continues. Here's a little bit more drama for you. Infighting and all that. Ben Shapiro's calling Laura Loomer crazy. And he might be right. I don't know. He's saying she's crazy, and he's commenting on the whole heat on Trump for meeting with her. And saying criticizing Trump's judgment, basically, to do such a thing at such a time.
Donald Trump makes it easy for his opponents when he praises people like Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is pretty obviously a crazy person.
Okay, she might be. I don't know. And Ben Shapiro's fine. You could say someone's crazy. Like, that's not a big deal. Just what he thinks. No big. So Laura Loomer went straight to the defense, saying, how dare you call me crazy, blah, blah, blah. And Ben Shapiro might be right. Trump makes it easy. You could say that. That's maybe one look at it. And I like those kinds of it's like a debate or whatever. Steel sharpens steel. The criticisms, it's nice for them to be out there so they can comment on them and all that. Make the person in question, i.e. Trump here, maybe think. And on the other side, be better for it, right? So, but at the same time, I appreciate Trump because he can handle the heat, is kind of my opinion on the whole thing. And so she's all mad about it. She says, why do you have to attack other Jews? And so it's like a Jew-on-Jew violence thing here, at least in her mind. And Ben Shapiro said Trump fawned over her or whatever, that gave her these praises. But Trump is like he meets with the people kind of guy. I've always seen him as this way. He meets with the people, and he has no problem doing that. You know what I mean? Like, he's an individual is what I'm trying to say. And so why would an individual have a fear with meeting with someone? Because they're not going to be infected. It reminds me of a roommate I had who wouldn't even there's imposing views and being annoying, but then there's like when you're having a conversation and literally literally saying, no, don't say that to me. I don't want to hear about that because out of a fear of it might influence me. This is a roommate I used to have. If we'd have a conversation about something, he would stop it and stop information from entering his ears. Out of a fear, in my opinion. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is, Trump here, he's like a guy that meets with the people, in my opinion. It's never really that deep, okay? It's that deep that he met with her. And then you watch the video that I guess Shapiro and others are commenting on. And really, the media, the liberal media, let's be real, the liberal media using this to misalign him, criticize him. But check it out. I mean, let's just watch it a little bit and we'll move on from this. We'll move on from this. I'm telling you, there's a point here. You just got to see this. And what do you really see here? Do you really see a man, President Trump, interacting with a radical person and wholeheartedly agreeing with this person? Like, what is he saying here? Like,
hey everybody, we're here at Bedminster. I'm with the greatest president ever, President Donald Trump, who is killing it right now. There's a new poll out, right? You're crushing it. You're up over 50
You're
points.
crushing it.
And it's a beautiful day here. Beautiful club. It's my first time here at Bedminster.
Well, it's great to have you, and you've been really very special. You work hard, and you are a very opinionated lady. I have to tell you that, and in my opinion, I like that.
Well, I appreciate.
You see, like, he's like, you're a very opinionated lady. Like, you could almost even take that as a little bit like, hey, look, you got your opinions, I got mine. You're you, I'm me. I might just, hey, another thing you could say about me is maybe I read into videos where I don't need to do that. But he was very opinionated, and you know what, in my opinion, I like that. And you know, and where is he wrong? Very, very diplomatic, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion.
I appreciate all of your support, and you've been terrific, and everybody appreciates.
And he appreciates her support, and that's a man. Can you blame him for just appreciating support? I'm sure Laura Loomer sincerely appreciates Donald Trump, and so I'm sure that's what they were talking about. And can you blame the man for appreciating that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And so you gotta. This is all silly and whatever. And you see this as dumb, and it is. It is. But I think it's interesting how difficult it is for the good side, so-called good side, to focus on, let's say, what? The enemy, the issues at hand, the important things. I think it should be interesting to all of us how movements and political campaigns, organizations, missions, and messages can be so easily divided, co-opted, subverted, if you will. You know what I mean? It should be interesting to us because it's not how I don't think it's how most people think. Controlled opposition, this and that. All that is happening by way of, it's going to sound deep, but I just know it to be true without really, really knowing it, by the spiritual world. It's all spiritual. We know it is. You know it is. If you really pay attention. So that's how these things get co-opted and subverted. Us individually and all that. That's why it's a little interesting to me. It should be that part at least should be interesting to all of us. How easily that can happen. You're seeing that with Trump. Well, I don't know. I used to say you're seeing that with Trump and people turning on him, like voters and all that. But I don't know. I don't know that I'm seeing a lot of Trump support and people just saying, bye DeSantis. We're not falling for that one. So, you know, there's a little bit of a white pill, huh? There's no such thing as a black pill, though. Christians don't believe in black pills, right? Okay, speaking of all this, though, infighting and he said, she said, maybe, and just mess and silliness. stuff that doesn't really, I guess, matter. People up in arms about, you know, the Hake Report. You should definitely check out the Hake Report. He comes on at 9 a.m., 9 to 11 on the Bond Network. I'm on a network. Some of you might be watching this. I've been hearing from some of you, new viewers, people who are not from the JLP show, people I've known in the past. You may be watching, and it's very cool. You might not know I'm part of a network. And there's other very intelligent and based individuals, more than I even. Hake Report, he comes out at 9 a.m. You can check him out, the Hake Report on YouTube. He talked about a story I want to just talk about a little bit. I want to rehash it, but if you're a viewer who hasn't watched the Hake Report, I'll just do it very quickly. Max Miller, congressman out of Ohio's 7th District, another online spat people are up in arms about and giving some life to, as I am. He had an online spat via the social platform formerly known as Twitter. You know, that platform, Max Miller, Ohio 7th District. He quoted a post by a one Lizzie Marbach, a woman with some political involvement online, wherein she said, "There is no hope for any of us outside of having faith in Jesus Christ alone." Max's response to her went viral, where he called her post bigoted, defended religious freedom, saying, he's talking about religious freedom here, saying that she's not respecting it, and asked her to delete it. His response went viral. With multiple million views, eyes on this, or views on this tweet here. He ultimately apologized. ILHAN Omar even jumped in. ILHAN Omar, the Muslim lady in Congress in Minnesota, which has become a sort of, could you call it a Muslim Mecca in America? Or is that inflammatory language? Minnesota, a Muslim Mecca in America, where they got like prayers on some of those rooftops, not unlike some of these Arab countries. But anyways, Max's response went viral. ILHAN Omar jumped in saying, "No, Lizzie here is being very, very much so religious freedom." Excuse me, citizen, that is not very religious freedom. Well, ILHAN Omar, in fact, jumped into Lizzie, the Christian woman's defense. And I found this whole interaction somewhat interesting as well. Just like Hake and some of you, no need to rehash it there. You could definitely check out the Hake Report. Nice episode. And there's apparently another one jumping in. Representative Casey Weinstein saying, "We may be on opposite sides of the aisle, but I stand right with Max on this." Casey Weinstein, a Democrat. But also a Democrat, but don't you forget it, just like those black conservatives who don't let you forget that they're black. But, Casey Weinstein is standing right with Max on this, asking Lizzie to delete it as well. Lizzie, delete this. Free speech? What the? And this Lizzie person is politically involved as she is, and as politically involved as a woman she is. Cringe. Doesn't seem like a big player or anything. Has a couple thousand followers. Like, to me, it didn't seem like a big player here in this whole movement. Anyways, they're asking to delete. I just wanted to, no need to rehash it further. I just wanted to add to it a little bit. Check out the Hake Report on that. But I find it funny how you can really catch hateful people when they start siding with someone simply for justifying their own kind of hatred. And again, I've never been against criticism and pointing something out. But one thing I don't like, one thing that we talk about the news and all that, but this is the Bond Network. We want to bring a little bit of light to stuff, the inner world, the spiritual world, to what's going on with these news stories, government officials, individuals that we talk about. And you can point out the differences and patterns that you notice. That's fine with me. But I want to, if you're on this show, let's bring a little light to it on anger and all that. You can really catch hateful people when they just start siding with people, when they just say something halfway right, I guess. Or they side against the enemy that they perceive. there was people in the comments calling ILHAN Omar based and stuff, which is fine. Like, it is a based tweet. ILHAN Omar is correct in her defense, right? And so just because someone says, oh, based, doesn't mean that they're this person I'm describing. But if you are this person, you might know what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about ILHAN Omar, just how easy it is to side with her just because I guess she sided against the Jew. This is a Muslim woman who said our country should be more fearful of white men. So she sides with the racism stuff and all that. And let's be real, you side with that, it's over. There's no like halfway working with that. There is no strategy against the devil. The devil's played this game for thousands of years. He's wiser than you. Why start picking and choosing, being picky choosy? I like this, I don't like that. This person's less evil, more evil. This is an evil I can work with. You know what I mean? When people show you who they are. Heed that. Am I making sense here? So, kind of my thoughts on that, just to add to it. ILHAN Omar's tweet, for the record. No, stating the core beliefs or principles of your faith isn't bigoted, as Lizzie did. It's religious freedom, and no one should be scolded for that. Based! Right on, ILHAN Omar. It's also wrong to speak about religious freedom while simultaneously harassing people who freely express their beliefs. What a mess. What a mess. Where are our friends? There are no friends, no allegiances, allies turn. Where can you go for an actual friend? You just want a friend. Why do you call that based? Based. Where am I wrong? Where's ILHAN Omar wrong? Everything is fake. Also, maybe my bar is low, and I'm easily impressed by a woman in Congress, a Muslim woman in Congress defending a Christian, because it's so rare. I'm easily impressed. It's such a rare thing, and it's just an easy thing to attack in the prevailing culture of today, of the so-called Christian America. Yo, TradCon? Caesar Beef Fishing. That new name in the chat. Appreciate you being here. Welcome, welcome. Gotta love the TradCons. Hey, ILHAN Omar, there's your bar for TradCon, which is short for, I guess, traditional conservative. We love our traditional conservatives, right, in America, defending the Christians. Don't they sometimes say that too? I hear that too, that Muslims are natural conservatives and stuff like that. But I just see people drawing allegiances against the people they hate. Not really logical. In-group preference, more like in-group hatred. Am I right? Okay, speaking of, here's a little... Speaking of Jews, let's talk about, and Muslims, let's talk about settlements and lawyers. How about that? Let's do a little segue here. Let's switch it up, because I came across this little story. I was reminded by the news media, a little story that's going around here. I was reminded of Batterygate. Anybody remember this? Batterygate? Batterygate used to describe the big legal battle that the Apple found themselves in some years ago. Okay, this controversy that emerged sometime in 2016. As many of you iPhone users, people in general might remember this. Batterygate. There was a controversy, if you will, that emerged at around this time, which amounted to what people were calling planned obsolescence, okay? And some people might remember their iPhones just unable to hold a charge as it once used to. Your expensive phone that you bought was once brand new, would charge it up, last you all day. You could take calls, use your apps, and do this, do that, be a power user, ahead of the game. You're getting so ahead with all your apps. You're so ahead with all your apps. You're so efficient. You're so efficient and you're doing so much. And it used to last you all day. And then one day that same iPhone just wasn't it just couldn't hold a charge like it once did. Then reports started going around and the zeitgeist, the prevailing culture, the zeitgeist, the hive mind, all kind of agreed, hey, this is not only do we not like this, we think this might be planned, this might be inflicted on us by these big capitalist companies like Apple. Well, critics argued that this battery slowdown, it was deliberate, that Apple deliberately slowed down the processors and the battery and affected the battery lives of these phones in a move to force consumers to upgrade in what they were calling planned obsolescence, right? And so I was reminded of this battery gate. Apparently, they called it battery gate. Apparently, there will be a big payout. The big payout is here. And people are here with their hands out, licking their chops. We're getting our money from the big corporations. The big payout is here. And the big number is, drum roll, $65 apparently. Most people, some iPhone owners will soon be getting around $65 from Apple over its Batterygate scandal. And I was reminded of this. I'm like, wait a second. So they admitted that it's true? So they admitted that it's true then? Because I never really remembered too much of this. Some of you might more than I. I remember kind of hearing about it. But what was the conclusion? If they're paying out the people, if Apple's paying out people, then they're admitting it, right? They will pay between $310 million and $500 million to settle a class action lawsuit. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not a lawyer. Someone might be able to correct me here. Maybe I'm wrong in some of this reporting. I'm not a lawyer. 888-775-3773. But, if they settled, I guess that doesn't mean they're saying that they take the culpability here, right? If it's my understanding that if you settle, that means both sides just agreed, okay, we'll make this all go away if we settle to these terms. And now, okay, I'm not ignorant that maybe the terms that they settled to means that they did agree to some culpability here, but I don't see that anywhere in these two articles I read. So maybe I'm not the person here to ask, but if they settled, my thinking on this, okay, as an ignorant, non-lawyer person, why would the lawyers settle? I mean, don't they want the truth? Did they or did they not purposely, deliberately slow down the phones and slow down the processors and batteries on the phones that we bought legally? We purchased a product that was supposed to work. Now, there's deterioration. That's one thing. Batteries and their lifespans, they deteriorate over time, especially if you charge them incorrectly. Not so much of an issue nowadays with modern technology, as so I hear. But what am I to believe? If these companies are so-called liars and the lawyers here don't want to settle and not find the truth, someone stop me here. Am I just an ignorant layman coming to the wrong conclusion? And everyone's signing up. I'm just scrolling down the Skim. If you know the Skim, they're like a female ran and kind of female media outlet that's geared to women. You're scrolling down this, and it says, oh, and by the way, for those trying to get the bag, which is hip-hop language for getting money. And if you're all about the bag, that means you're all about the money. And, the Skim here is informing its readers, hey, by the way, if you want a slice of the $725 million Meta payout, apparently there's another big company, you know them as Meta, they used to be called Facebook. I guess they're embroiled in some other class action lawsuit. So if you want a little, $30, $60, who knows what you're going to get if this payment from Apple is anything of an indicator. If you're salivating and ready to get your money from Meta, maybe you're deserved, right? maybe you've been wronged. But you want to go, the skim is informing you, hey, quickly, hey, anybody want a piece of the pie? Come here. You know, I find that salivating, licking your chops kind of mentality maybe a little sickening. Who am I to say, because I don't know the details. Maybe you've been wronged by these companies. But follow my line of thinking here. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but follow my line of thinking here for a second. Let's say you're one of these people who feel you've been wronged by these big companies. And then you take from the apple, and you take the settlement, and you take your little measly $60. What is that doing? And you can't say anything because you took the payment. Now you can't say anything. If these companies truly are doing wrong, and if these lawyers just want a settlement, then do we know if these companies are truly doing wrong? Because they're saying Batterygate. If you read the Wikipedia article, they're saying, well, they settled, and the Apple claims that it wasn't a slowdown, a deliberate slowdown, but simply a necessary slowdown of your phones, because as time passes, the software of your phone gets upgraded over the years, but the hardware doesn't. You keep the same phone. And so to keep your phone running smoothly, Apple said, hey, we didn't tell you, which is their MO. That's what Apple does. Now I'm sounding like a total Apple shill. But follow me. We didn't tell you, but we slowed it down so that it'll work fine without you even noticing. But now we don't know the truth because what? Greed? Is it greed? Is it fair to say? Is it a big old stretch here? Kind of just my thinking here. And you know what they say about thinking. But it's a nice little segue, all this talk of settlement and lawyers and who's right and who's wrong. And some little afternoon thoughts by the American anchor baby here. It does allow me to segue to another similar story of settlements and who's right and who's wrong, and sides being wronged and feeling hurt. You might have heard of this story, the Tuohys. Oh, how do you pronounce this? You may have seen The Blindside, and this whole story of this family that adopted this Michael Oher, and that whole saga. We'll get into that here in a moment. But first, I have a caller here, Deontay, Orlando, Florida. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm just fine, man. Appreciate your call.
Hey, I just wanted to make a quick comment on the settlement.
Yeah.
So, from one thing I do know, and this is just in general, I don't know about this particular situation.
Okay.
But if you, say, for instance, a company or like the city, a lot of times, like in the case of a lot of these, like, people that are suing the city or suing companies, sometimes the lawyer fees are more expensive than just settling outside of court.
Oh.
So sometimes people settle so they don't have to spend. So say, for instance, if they had settled on $40 million, but the lawyer fees were going to be $80 million, they might as well go ahead and just, because they don't really care. People, how they see it is the truth. It doesn't mean as much as the money.
The money, I gotcha. And then they'll say, I gotcha. With more money, you have more to pay to those affected, to help those affected, or whatever.
That's what happens with the city. Like when the city pays out a lot of these large settlements to people that were, like, quote unquote wrongfully.
Right.
They know the people that lawyer up, especially when they get these high profile attorneys, and they know that the attorneys, they'll say a lot of times, we're not even going to charge you. We're just going to get from whatever we make. So they have a lot of power to go against the state, and then the state will say, well, we're just not going to spend all this money and go toe to toe with them. So we're just going to go ahead and settle out. And that's how a lot of these guys get a lot of their money.
I wonder if that really is enough of a, what I mean is, I wonder if that's really enough of an incentive against doing that again, I guess. If that were to be true, since we don't even know in this Batterygate case if it's even true because it's settled. And so, and you know, I understand what you're saying. I wonder what you think, like, if the people involved, the moral thing, wouldn't it be to find out if there was any actual criminal wrongdoing and then prosecute that to how it should be? it would at least stop any future, or at least start that, should there have been any wrongdoing, or at least work against that in the future, at least somewhat.
I agree, but I mean, the world we live in, I don't think people really care.
Mm-hmm.
I hear they say a lot. I've heard people say that, you know, that the lie is more entertaining than the truth anyway.
Yeah.
So people just, they run with it, and I don't think morality is something that these corporations or the cities, when it's compared to morality, compared to how much money they're going to spend,
Mm-hmm.
I think they choose money over morality any day.
Do you find it?
I mean, that's just mine.
Yeah, totally. Do you find it as funny as I do how, and this could be a little bit of a judgment on my part, but do you find it as funny as I do when I kind of imagine the you have to imagine it has to be countless people signing up to get their payment from this settlement, and you could see that as maybe agreed on their part instead of looking for the truth. And do you see it as comical as I do that the big, you go for greed and the evil side, and it's like, yeah, but I know it's evil, but I'm gonna get the payout. But the payout is an appropriately poetic $65.
You know what? I think it's funny, it's ironic, everything, but I would be a hypocrite. I'm black, you know, so I've definitely in my life I've taken advantage of being black. So I'm no one to judge, because I've done stuff that affirmative action has gotten me a lot of places. So you know, I can't sit here and laugh at them, and then I'm a product of it too. You know, so
that's not true.
It's wrong though.
That's not true. Wrong. You can do that. You're wrong about that. You totally can do that, and you wouldn't be a fraud in doing that. You are totally allowed to see that you've even benefited, are benefiting even from something, and see it as wrong. And you could even call yourself a hypocrite while doing it, but that thing can still be wrong, and you can still call it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I definitely agree it's wrong.
All those things can be true in this hypothetical we're talking about. Well, I guess it's not hypothetical. You said you benefited de facto from affirmative action.
Yep.
And so
I didn't even know.
That's still something you wouldn't be a fraud in calling that wrong, despite maybe you say what's it called, benefiting from it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a deception we tell ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, you're right. I was wrong, but yes, it's also wrong. It's also wrong to engage with the evil, especially when you know it's evil.
And it's not always. And you know what I'll say too? I don't think it's even always wrong, because you gotta understand. This is not a suddenly, hey, everybody in the chat go game the system, but you gotta understand. There's probably also I'm reminded of, for example, how the Canadians in Canada, obviously they have socialized healthcare, and this is what they agreed on. This is their society. They said, you know what, this is how we're going to do it. You may have your criticisms, world. You might say it's not efficient. You might call it inefficient, easy, rife for corruption, government corruption. But us Canadians, this is how we want to do it. We're going to pay our taxes, and we're going to be nice little people and wait in line for our turn at the doctor. And then the immigrants come in, and they game the whole system. I'm telling you, I've seen it time and time again. They'll call ahead. They'll give a sob story. They'll do this, and the Canadians just wait in line. And it kind of reminds me of America. There's probably parallels you could draw to America. And my point is that I'm describing that the society has changed, and I think within that you can still vie for you could still make sure you get yours. Use the sinner's money for good. You see the point I'm trying to make here? It's a little bit more dynamic, is what I'm trying to point out here. And there might not be always every single time situation you describe, like, for example, affirmative action, all that. Maybe not every single time is evil in this now evil world that we live in. Maybe a little confusing.
There's always a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
Right? So there's always exceptions to the rule. And there's some situations you can't control. I didn't know that was affirmative action. I kind of figured it out once I got there, and I was like, oh, my grades My scores weren't as high as y'all's. I kind of got thrown into it. I was like, oh, okay. And then, I've seen it. Totally. So I get what you're saying. You can't really control everything, and then sometimes it's for the necessary, I guess, good of the world.
It can
so
be, yeah.
I fully understand what you're saying. There's always a time and place.
Interesting, man. Well,
I'm not going to hold you up, man.
No problem, man. Call me again.
To talk to you.
Always.
All righty, man. Bye.
Moving the wheels. Okay. Yeah, so, anyways, lawyers and settlements and people mad about this or that. So, speaking of that, I teased this a little bit. In other, I guess you could call it settlement news, sides settling past grievances in a very public way. Now, I looked this up just a moment ago, too, before the show started. How do you pronounce this? Because I feel like I'm going to be saying it a lot. How do you pronounce this name?
A former football star, an Oscar-winning movie, and millions of dollars. As the man whose story inspired the Blindside movie is now accusing the wealthy white family who said they adopted him of not doing any such thing. We're talking about Michael
Spicy.
Orr, who was taken in.
Michael Orr. It's pronounced Orr. Okay, thank you, NBC lady.
Of not doing any such thing. We're talking about Michael Orr, who was taken in by the Tuohys after living in poverty and foster care. He played college ball at Ole Miss before spending 8 years in the NFL. It's an incredible life story, so incredible that it was turned into a best-selling book. That book became the foundation of the 2009 movie, The Blind Side, that earned Sandra Bullock an Academy Award, remember?
This team is your family, Michael. When you look at him, you think of me.
America's sweetheart. I've heard it called that. I don't know what that means.
Now you have my back. Are you going to protect the family, Michael?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Bullock plays Leanne Toohey, who adopted Orr, or so he thought. But according to these new court documents out of Tennessee, Orr says that's a lie, that they tricked him into making the family his conservators instead, and that they made millions off his name from a movie that, you see the quote here, that would not have existed without him. 💂 Venegas is joining us now. And 𒒂,
that's the story, a little teaser there on the story. You heard it here. Michael Orr spent 8 years in the NFL, was raised after he was taken in by the Tuohys, who, put him through, helped him out. I mean, he was adopted. Anyways, he's saying they owe him money because they made all the money off of him, money he never saw, according to the story here, right? And so that's the fight. And that needs to get settled and all that mess. More people fighting. Blindside family attorney. And so the Tuohys, they've responded as well to this whole thing, right? This is from Deadline. Blindside family attorney Marty Singer says Michael Orr attempted shakedown before going to court. Calls claims offensive. A day after Michael Orr, the former NFL player and subject of the 2009 movie The Blind Side, right? Alleged in a court filing that the family who took him in as a young player had deceived him about being adopted and deprived him of earnings from the Oscar-nominated film. So there's a long rebuttal, apparently, by Sean and Leanne Toohey. High-powered entertainment attorney Marty Singer made public Tuesday said Orr's claims that the Tuohys have ever sought to profit off Mr. Orr is not only offensive, it is transparently ridiculous, according to the attorney, the Toohey family attorney. Singer also said Orr recently started to threaten the family about what he would do unless they paid him an 8-figure windfall. And as part of that shakedown effort, refused to cash the small profit checks from the Tuohys. They still deposited Mr. Orr's equal share into a trust account they set up for his son. Unbeknownst to the public, Mr. Orr has actually attempted to run this place several times before. This is alleged by the attorney on the Toohey side. But it seems that numerous other lawyers stopped representing him once they saw the evidence and learned the truth, Singer wrote. Sadly, Mr. Orr has finally found a willing enabler and filed this ludicrous lawsuit as a cynical attempt to drum up attention in the middle of his latest book tour. his book, When Your Back's Against the Wall, huh? And you gotta, I mean, we hear this like on the JLP show every day. Callers calling in, families not getting along. And some of you have seen the movie in the chat. I haven't. I'm look, guys, something you might know about me already. I'm still catching up on a lot of classic Americana. Could you call this Sandra Bullock movie? Is this part of the list? Is this part of the Anchor Baby list? The list to catch the Anchor Baby up on American stuff so that he may truly, more better, fill this these shoes of being an American Anchor Baby. Help an Anchor Baby out. Does this go on that list? The Blindside. Some of you have seen it. This is all manufactured. Ingrate, ungrateful, many of you are saying. And I don't know the nitty-gritty details, like, do any of us really? I mean, if this is a legal battle, then it comes down to, does he deserve the money? Is he owed? If so, then so be it. Let them duke it out. You might wonder, though, what this implies. You have a successful NFL career and all that. You have this life. Could have gone down one way. You're brought in by the Tuohys, and you're helped, and your life goes a different way. And you could say, well, yeah, ungrateful. And we don't know. We don't really know the details because, like all people, we grow up. We all need to forgive. Like all people, we need to forgive. So you don't know what Michael Oher has to forgive the Tuohys for. Clearly, he has to forgive for something. Going after them like this, you might wonder, well, he's not alleging abuse or them hurt. He's alleging, all he's saying is, you owe me money. And I guess that implies a whole bunch of stuff like, oh, well, that they used him. They adopted this black child, and they used him for this story. Of course, all these things now get brought up. Hurtful comments, the family side, this he said, she said. How many times have you fought with family and friends and loved ones, and then you assume things? You think that this look or that comment means this or that. So all of this is playing out in a very public way before us in this Blindside fiasco. And you wonder, ungrateful. When you have this young man saying, I don't know how old is Michael Oher? Young man, Michael Oher. He's saying here, he's 37, young man. He's saying here what he's deserved, what he's owed. He's owed this money, he's owed this or that. And I'm left wondering, well, who are you to say what you deserve, right? I mean, I understand there's legal things and business things. Let that fall, let the chips fall where they're supposed to be. I'm not an expert on this, on the movie industry and who's owed what. There's claims on both sides. Michael saying he's owed this money. The family saying, hey, not only are you not owed it, this is a shakedown. You're just making up stuff. And they're claiming on their side, the Tuohys, that there's plenty of money that's gone to Michael in the form of this trust fund or whatever they called it. And so there's claims of conservatorship and all that. And so their legal battle there, let the chips fall where they may. But in a more bird's eye view sense, taking a step back sense, maybe try and be deeper sense, who are you to say what you deserve in life, right? We get what we deserve. And you, Michael Oher, seemed to have been, he had I try not to say he was given a better life. I mean, you could say that, and I think that's true. And you don't have to be ungrateful about that, Michael. But we also don't know. Like I said, we all have to forgive. And he's an adult now and should forgive and not be, I guess, justifying. If Michael Oher here is trying to shake them down and be ungrateful out of an anger, it's misplaced. Or it's not misplaced maybe if it's his family, but my point is it's time to overcome it, right? It's time to overcome it. Ungrateful reparations, says NRN. Thank you, Santino Robles for the super chat there says, we really need to let the ego die. Thank you for that. Very apt and timely super chat there, Santino. Thanks for the support. Much appreciated. All right. Let me get to some calls here. You guys are calling in 888-775-3773. We'll get to some calls here before we move on to another individual who's been dejected and defected. Talking about that, Travis King. I know Hake mentioned it. I won't rehash that story I know it was on the Hake Report. Won't go. But there is something going on with Korea there. You might find this quite interesting. We'll get to that next. But first, some calls here. Let me get to Nathan out of Illinois. Appreciate your call, Nathan. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. How you doing, Nick?
All is well. Appreciate that, man. Go ahead.
Nice, bro. So I got like a little lighthearted change of pace.
Nice. We appreciate this.
Did a little pickup line the other day at the gym. It was like, so I've seen this girl a couple times.
Okay. Chat, rate. We're going to rate the Riz.
And so I go up to her. I'm like, oh, what do you got today? She goes, oh, I got legs. How about you? And she goes, so I go, I got back. My hip's a little sore. I had this guy behind me choking me last night. And I just like waited to see her facial reaction. I just go, oh, I was at jiu-jitsu last night.
But rate his Riz, chat.
Let's see.
Rate his Riz 1 out of 10.
Yeah, she smiled and then she fleed pretty quickly.
You said she fleed?
Yeah.
It's about. Hey, I like the approach. Comedy. You gotta love a little comedy.
Yeah, man.
It's not a. I don't know if that's a pickup line.
I don't know. What it is.
But comedy is always a good. I think comedy is a good. What's it called? MO.
Yeah, totally.
But
so
it's about the spirit. It's about the spirit.
Absolutely.
Not the joke itself might not even banner that much. It's about, if you're doing it in a way that's, what's it called? Not threatening.
Right.
I don't know, man. You guys didn't see his Riz in action though. The chat here is being pretty tough on you, but they didn't see the Riz in action. So
they typically are on most people. So
which is fair. But what are we doing out here trying to pick up anyone, anyways? Right? We're probably coming off wrong because we have that in our minds in the first place.
I honestly don't. When I go in for something like that, it's more just for my own entertainment. I don't have any expectation or anything. I'm just trying to see.
Totally. The way if you want to make someone truly laugh, you just have the, not truly laugh. What I mean is, when saying a joke, that should be your motivation to say the joke.
Right. And it's like
that's how you really get a laugh.
My friends, like, sometimes they said, like, the way I talk to girls, like I'm like turning them into super feminists. You turn women into super feminists? Your friend said that about you? Yeah. So, what is it about you that turns women super feminists? Because like the handshake thing. Since I heard you guys talk about that, I was like, You shake women's hands? Sometimes I don't. When I feel like I'm like sometimes I do though. When I'm in a workspace, like professional workspace, I'm just like I have to, or else they're gonna like go to HR. I definitely relate because I grew up the same way, not really giving that much thought. But I gotta say, before ever hearing any criticism against that, something always felt a little funny. Yeah, totally. And so I would always do a different handshake, even before ever hearing about that being not something guys don't do, or at least they didn't used to do that. As long as I can remember, I've been shaking women and men's hands differently. I made them, they were different. It was daintier or whatever with a woman. It is, yeah. Well, that's all I had. Just wanted a little... Right on. A little bit of a jokester. Nice, Nathan. We'll appreciate that. A little brevity here. Yeah, dude. I mean, not brevity, but a little comedy. Bro. Thanks, Nathan. Call me again. Bye. What's it called? What are we doing out here with that motivation anyways, right, fellas? You'll just come off crazy. I'm here to pick someone up. Think about that. That's not the people who are doing that, which I disavow, and the people who are good at that, which I have my own, that's its own story and its own commentary. You might be surprised with it. But let's be real, they're not out there with that mentality. Or they are, but it's, at least they hide it. You see what I'm saying here? So the best way is to not even have that mentality at all. But the people who are good at picking up women, they're at least hiding that motivation, okay? Because that motivation of yours seeps out of you through your spirit, okay? And so they're crafty. They're pretty crafty and are able to hide that motivation, and they come off as very non-threatening. You hear it in the pickup stuff all the time. That's one of the central things that you have to do. You have to be non-threatening to a woman, especially someone you've never met. And so you lull her in. She's the bunny. You're the. Where's that from? That's from Swingers. Someone quoted that recently. I've never seen that movie. You're the bunny. She's the bunny. You're the wolf or something. And which is an interesting thing to think about. With the guys that are hiding their motivation, that's how they got good at picking up women. I've also seen men who are just totally natural and they're not trying to pick up women. Sometimes they're nerdy. Sometimes you might see them on the outside as a nerd or this or that. You have a judgment on them. But one thing about them is they're not trying to pick up the woman, and they're just fine, chilling, natural, making her laugh, rizzing her up. Riz King, shout out to my nerdy Riz Kings who are not out here with the motivation of trying to pick up a woman and accidentally being total Riz Kings. You gotta love it. Maybe a little, might make you think a little bit, huh? Riz, by the way, that means it's a newfangled, new word. For the boomers out here, we love boomers. I'm stealing that from Hake, but Riz, it means it refers to your ability in speaking to women and picking them up, making them laugh, making them comfortable, all those things, getting their number, speaking to women. And it's funny that now there's a word to describe being good at talking to women. When I talk to old school men and stuff like that, they never describe needing to be good at that. That's another food for thought there. I hope you've had a few little morsels here, food for thought here on today's episode. Here's another one. When I talk to old school guys, yeah, they never talk about needing to be good at talking to women. That was just natural. Justin out of Fullerton, California, I do appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I was just thinking how the news is kind of getting better and better.
Sorry. Yeah, appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I think it's like Vivek Ramaswamy, or how you say his name. He's mentioning he's going to pardon Trump.
Yeah.
You got Trump saying if he gets elected, though, he's going to prosecute the Biden crime family.
Dang.
Especially if it's going to be like a Manchurian candidate, and they find out that he accepted contributions from foreign countries like China.
Yeah.
So if it's a game of chess here, do you think that Trump on his own merit, 96 criminal charges, will evade prison time and be in time for the election? Or do you think that he may go down and therefore a real patriot like Vivek will become president, but yet use the presidential powers to pardon Donald for another day?
Are you asking me what I think is more likely or what I think is the better option here?
More likely. Not the better option.
I think it's more likely that people will still... I think what's more likely is that right now, I think most people, most Trump supporters, voters, Republicans in general, people who have switched, have seen these past few years and are now going Trump, whoever you are, have halfway thought about the charges, have halfway assumed that he will get charged. I think most people think he will. They don't really even think about the charges, whatever it is. They have this mentality, in my opinion, that they're going Trump. No, they're going Trump anyways. They want to see what would happen if someone voted for president and is in jail. Like, that's all unclear from what I can tell. Most people haven't really thought much about that. And to me, that implies they don't care about it. You see what I'm saying? To me, it implies they care not very much about should he be indicted or prosecuted this way or that way in that court or this court and what that means and where he's going to end up, if he's going to be in a cell or not. It seems to me like we're all unsure what options we have here, and despite not knowing the options, we don't really care. I think it looks like we want Trump.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's what's most likely is that. I mean, when you ask me when the rubber meets the road, I don't know what that's going to look like. Do I go to a voting booth and then write in Trump? Like, I don't know what that's going to look like. Do you see what I'm saying here? And I think a lot of us don't know.
But I think there's a lot of people that are sheep, and when they have people that behave like sheep, it just breeds like a government of wolves. And I just don't think it's good for the country for all these people to try to indict a former president, a current Republican front runner. Like, the right answer for the country is to get into not to get into, to kind of like get away from the whole tug of war, the whole everybody's against one another, and there's weaponizing of the DOJ, and then there's, I don't know, it just seems like that kind of thing is just not good for America.
And you say we should move away from the whole Trump thing?
Yeah, like they should definitely
pardon
him,
Vivek who can pardon Trump and still be on our side and do the right thing, but at least we could put this whole thing behind us. January 6th, you're talking like that.
Yeah, exactly. If everyone could round up around him and he's thinking outside the box, then it would definitely be worthy of seeing that happen. But to put all your eggs in one basket. But it sounds a little bit like
you're living in a fantasy. You're saying
I think there's a lot of thought.
It almost sounds like a little bit of a fantasy, and I want you to finish your thought.
It's just a thought, but you know how we say about thoughts. But I think if the thought is not real, then it's not even worthy of deliberating about. I just think a lot of thoughts. You know what I mean?
I understand, and I appreciate your call. It's thought-provoking. And you know what they say about thoughts. But, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. You know, I like Vivek, too, some things he says and all that. Not like throwing big shade on his policy. Look, my point is this. It's what I mean by fantasy is that, and you notice that this fantasy is also being pushed by the establishment, okay? The fantasy I'm describing is, let's have Trump without Trump. Let's have America and move on. Let's just pretend it never happened. It's kind of like the mentality, okay? And it's like, I don't know how anyone can expect the American public to do that. What I mean is, it's not just about let's move on from January 6th. Let's move on from election shenanigan claims and all this. What to a lot of people that means is you're saying let's move on from 4 years of exposing stuff, of the media, of the establishment, the rhinos, and you're saying let's go along with them. Is what it sounds like.
Well, if the Republicans that were in name,
push it all aside.
If the Republicans that were in name only were to be fiery and to be effective in what they do, they would get rid of Mitch McConnell. They would get people held accountable, you know, like the Speaker of the House. They get people that can make a difference so that he doesn't even face jail time. But I don't see them that strong. I see the other wing of the Republicans, the MAGA, as the stronger of the two. So either they're going to create another party to try to, you know, rally behind them, or, you know, the American people have to make a decision. Yeah, Biden will have all the votes.
So for you, Vivek, almost maybe or totally does represent the MAGA side of what you're describing. Totally not the establishment.
Yeah.
It's the strong MAGA and effective MAGA side, and Vivek represents that. But it also moves on from the Trump stuff. But I mean, my thing is just like two things. Who are you? Like, how do you know it's really time to move on from that? Like, what are we really moving on from? Are you asking us to move on from, like, these are liars and crooks trying to put Trump, doing this to Trump. Like, we don't just sweep that under the rug.
Right, that's what we don't do.
Maybe not us individually, but at least we have someone in there trying to represent us in that sense. I'm not saying we individually know exactly what's going on, but, and another thing, how do you know that Vivek is really that tough? At least for me, Trump has proven it.
He's not a Trump, but he seems to be definitely a Trump supporter, and he's the only presidential candidate that's not got all that kind of stuff against him. So if you don't have him, then the only remaining factor would be who'd help him. I mean, they're going after his top lawyer, you know, Giuliani. They're using his own RICO law, a factor of it, that he helped to put away a lot of the mafia.
I just don't, and I'm not even disagreeing with some of what you're saying. It's just, for me, it's like the whole thing I don't understand on the whole, let's have Trump without Trump thing. It sounds like all the people who are saying, let's have Trump without Trump thing, they really love Trump. But it's like, hey guys, are you guys forgetting? We have Trump. We don't have to have Trump without Trump, because all the people who are saying we want Trump without Trump, they really just don't like how spicy the some of that election stuff is, or other stuff. But
yeah, they're weaponizing it, and the only way to get out of it is, I mean, to compete it is to fight. But if you, how is it that he's going to fight? Right now, he's being politically targeted. It's like a banana republic, you know. So it's just a 40 type of chess move to get out of that situation.
But that's the thing. If you think, do you really think that, let's say we make Vivek president, and then he's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking that you're thinking. Tell me where I'm wrong. But it seems to me like in your mind the strategy is, well, Vivek is kind of like a Trojan horse. It's like we can get Trump in there, but he's not Trump. He doesn't look like Trump, and everyone's going to be fooled and then he'll use his powers to get the Trump that we love out of jail, but he'll be Trump without Trump, and we'll get him in there. And see, Democrat, it'll be like a Trojan horse, and now they can't weaponize.
No, it will be like Obama with Biden.
It'll be like now we'll have the Trump that we wanted, and now they can't say J6 and all the stuff they've been saying about us. Now they can't weaponize against him. We win. We game the system. But it's like, dude, the system hates Trump, hates good. And if Vivek is truly good or whatever, they're going to do the same to him. Is he as tough as Trump? I don't know. That's my point here. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
it's like, I don't think the strategy is sound. They're going to hate the spirit in all cases. I don't think we can Trojan horse this. We got to be tough.
I hear what you're saying, but they have already exemplified how a Trojan horse works. They've gotten Obama's number 2 guy, the vice president, to become the president and have a 3rd term.
But that's their strategy. That's evil. Trump brings light to the evil stuff. Trump brings light to stuff.
So the only way to bring light is to have people expose it. Yeah, so Vivek would have the powers of at least he'd have the powers of presidency, and he can do all that kind of stuff. Like Trump can run things.
I gotcha.
With a Trojan horse and utilize, like, fight fire with fire, because if he's the light, bring the fire.
You're saying he's. I gotcha. I think I'm understanding you a little bit. That's not exactly what I get. Yeah, I got you. Like, if I may summarize, you see Vivek strategically. You see what you're saying is like you foresee Trump losing, and in fact, fairly, because the American public doesn't like all this election stuff.
I see an ally against a corrupt Department of Justice who's weaponizing the political party against him, where the people would vote for him, he'd become elected, and yet he's in prison, and all of a sudden he gets pardoned. So then the people would be behind the one that did that.
Okay.
Because the duly elected president was released from prison. I don't see any other way currently. Do you see another way for him to avoid imprisonment?
I don't think so, but I don't think that he's showing, at least in his statements and all that, to me, he's showing that he doesn't seem to really be caring about that. And if he doesn't care about that, that's
okay.
You know what I mean? That makes me think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he seems to be saying he doesn't care that they indict him.
That's
jail
his bravado. Yeah, he's not going to like.
But it should be a little interesting if you have that many people behind you. Wouldn't you be interested? Where do we proceed from here? If I go to the ballots, will there be a Trump there? Like, where do we go from here? It reveals even more of our country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's a sad thing when you let the Department of Justice be able to rule things. They called him a Russian agent. The FBI director got fired, but he's not a president right now. He can't fire the FBI director. So there's really no way to force any resignation for these people that are currently in power. So since they're corrupted,
there may be truth to what you're saying. I don't know the intricacies and the numbers behind it all.
Yeah.
There may be strategies here. I don't want to just like counter signal fully here, but as a layman, and as a voter, maybe as an abuser of the 14th Amendment and a voter. That's kind of my layman look. I don't like their strategy. I like Trump's strategy. He puts things out there, brings the light to it. and everything we pretty much hashed. Man, thanks for your call. Very interesting.
No worries.
Call me again. Calls are coming in. Let's just run calls before we get into the defected and the dejected. You know, some Americans, they're going to Korea. You heard about this on the Hake Report, but actually, did you know about some of those Koreans that are coming here? And some of those Koreans that have come here have made a career that some are saying is not all on the up and up. And you may not have heard of this. You might find this interesting. We'll get into that. Let's run some calls. I got, let me go to TJ, United Kingdom. You're on the air. Appreciate your call.
Hey, Nicholas, how do you do?
TJ, I'm fine. Appreciate your call. Yes, all is well.
Thank you for taking my call. I thought it was an opportunity. I always meant to say this, but I think Jesse said it pretty well today, but I'll try and say it in a different way. There is nothing new under the sun, as we know it says in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very helpful whenever we think of any of these situations that we're in with politics and all this earthly stuff. And I use it, and I think Jesse sort of said it in a way today, to use it to reflect on oneself. So hold up a mirror to oneself with this situation and picture, okay, this has happened, let's say, 3,000 times, if what we might call history. Same situation, same players, different people or whatever, but the same core themes have been played out before because there's nothing new under the sun. How am I reacting to this? I use this as a mirror to respond to the situation and see how am I reacting to this. And it's an opportunity. I think God does this as an opportunity for us to further know thyself. So the worldly examples enable us to examine ourselves further. That's all I wanted to say.
I hear you, TJ. Are you anything you can tell the peeps what's anything making examine yourself? Like, for example, I have a good one. So you value your feelings.
No, they're not feelings. No. No. Nice try. No, not feeling. Well,
there's situations that come that let you see yourself.
Well, yeah. For better or for worse, I actually devoid of feelings, which sometimes freaks me out a little bit. But
right on.
No, it's just all the different situations. Perhaps some people feel anxious. Like maybe this last caller is, all into tactics and all this kind of stuff. And
yeah.
So how is that a reflection on himself? Does he have anxiety about the future? Is he really putting his trust in God? Because all of this has happened before. All we need to concentrate is on ourselves and God. And it doesn't matter what goes on around us. If we're with God, it really matters not, what's going on around us. It absolutely is meaningless. We just keep going. We can walk through fire, through the valley of death, and it just doesn't. It doesn't matter. But when that does pop up, and we do have reactions to it, we can use that as an opportunity to reflect on ourselves.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. It makes me think about how sometimes I'll be talking to people, and I'll be doing this show, and I'll be talking about news stories and situations that maybe I can be kind of irreverent and maybe facetious at times, and maybe give it the wrong importance or attention. But at the same time, I'm talking about some violence and crazy things sometimes on the show, looming war or whatever. But I'm never feeling freaked out or worried. And I'd hope my audience and callers are feeling the same way, namely not feeling anything, right? Because it's just, we don't know anything or what will come. We're just reporting news. No need to make conclusions and have any kind of real like immediate worry that shocks you when we're doing these topics or anything like that.
So why do you bring up worldly stuff then?
For fun. And like I say sometimes on my show, we do. I just see the world the way I see it, and I've been given this opportunity to do this show, and I mainly try and entertain you for a little while in your your busy days, and we get silly. We get silly, dumb. We could be irreverent, but sometimes we're a little deep, right? We're a little deep every now and then, and so we like to express the Bond messages also, and do our thing here on the show.
It seems to me that you are using it as a mirror.
Oh, that's
you're using the worldly examples as an opportunity.
Exactly. Like I said, we're silly, irreverent, and all that, but we're a little deep sometimes here on American Anchor, baby. And I say we, the editorial we, to even give it even more grandeur. But I like to use these news stories, but give it a little different angle. How I react to it, how we're reacting to stuff, how you're saying a mirror to ourselves.
Yeah. And Jesse said it really well today. I don't know what point, but there really is only that relationship with us and God that we need to focus on. And things can perceptionally be falling apart around us, but it's happened before. And those that have stayed on the narrow path just kept on walking, be it Abraham or whoever. They just kept the focus, and it didn't matter to them what was Job, etc. Daniel, nothing mattered to them. They just kept their relationship with God.
An example. Interesting, TJ. Appreciate your call,
Cheers.
man, and the thoughts there. Call me again.
Look forward to it. All the best.
Moving those wheels. See you on with the super chat. Always with the support there. Much appreciated. She's paying me out of her Nick Stream wages, just giving her money back to her employer. She does great work on Fridays. As our lovely flight attendant on Nick Stream, we take our nice flights. If you've missed it, you're going to want to subscribe. You don't want to miss it. It's totally different from my daily show here, American Anchor, baby. We take a flight on Fridays. You want to check it out. Nathan with the super chat says, drink your milk, white boy. Be strong / innovate. Right on. Go mad, ladies and gentlemen. Gallon of milk a day. if you're trying to be strong, I guess, and big, I'm not recommending that. Go mad only if you're a champion. Only for champs. I got more calls. Let's do calls. Brian, North Carolina, you're on the air. Appreciate your call.
Thank you, Nick. How you doing?
All's well, man. Yourself?
Right on. Another day, I didn't realize it, but I was like 5 minutes behind on the show. So I don't mean to go back, but
no,
we're talking about Riz.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you put it so well right there at the end of the conversation where you talked about how there's guys who learned how to do it by going out and practicing all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's guys who aren't really trying to pick up girls, who just kind of naturally have it, and they're like looked at as nerds.
Yeah, totally. Our Riz kings out there without any need of a woman. They're out there.
Yeah, it's funny how there's this, now we have a word for it. It's called Riz.
Right. We had to give it a word.
Before it was a play. And then, whatever. I think I agree. Well, I do agree with your point when you said that most of the older guys that you talk to don't even, mention this being a part of living.
Yeah. Oh, I need to go out and you need to be having multiple, what do the Red Pillars call it? Because they play the numbers game and they call it like encounters. You need to be having at least 10 encounters a night. That way you could be getting your numbers up, and that way you could be practicing, which is so funny. Practicing what? This thing the old school guys never needed to practice. They would laugh at that. It's the most natural thing in the world.
It's funny, man. It's funny you're so right when you say that, because to tie 2 points together with what TJ was speaking about, because he was right when he was speaking about spirit, and he asked you why you talk about the world, but that's just the people will go out and practice that for their ego.
Totally.
So they can stretch their ego. And then you have the guy, like you mentioned, who is not out there doing that. He's just out there amongst the women, and somehow they're pulled in.
Big time.
It's the total you know, it's very reflective and it says a lot. And hopefully people are paying attention, because you can't read between the lines if you don't overcome words like Riz. It's
So
such
true.
It's such a word. It's such a crazy word that it's just like it. I can see how people could get caught up in wanting to have something like that to describe themselves.
And then another generation is then you know, a wide net is cast over another generation to see who they can ensnare in this like rat race. Everyone has their own little rat race. They're gonna now rat race to be Riz Kings. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah,
trying to get something that they already have.
Right.
Because I notice I've tapped into it. It really is there. It's the most natural thing. It's just like a boy talking to a girl. It's total boy-girl stuff. It's simple. It's easy. It's funny.
It really is,
it's
man.
It's chill. It's boy-girl. It's just, I don't know how else to explain it.
Every man has the potential in them to be that comedian around women. Because that's really I think that's probably the best part about it, is being able to, you know, bring joy to others by just being how you are.
Yeah,
naturally.
That's true, huh?
There's no expectations. I'm not trying to get anything. You know, it really doesn't have anything to do with anybody outside of me either. Whether they're trying to get something or they're not, they can't do anything about it either.
So true, man. Yeah. And you're using, like, getting something from someone anyways, it should already be a sign that you're on the wrong track. It's like, let me speak this way and act this way and joke this way so I can get good feelings, get attention or whatever. You're then co-opting a desire in the person you're talking to, i.e. in this case, a woman really is her desire for a love of a father.
Yeah. Something else the old men talk about, my grandfather used to tell us when we were like little kids, he would make sure he told us this. He said, all kitty cat is the same. He used to tell us that as children. And that just like, and I still remember him telling us that to this day, like standing out in the pasture, and he's like, he's mad about something, right?
Yeah.
But he's telling us the truth, you know?
Totally. I got you. I got you right.
Doing it.
Like a little mad about it, but I'm following you. It's there.
Yeah.
Though.
But it's so true, man. And to be honest, it's all the same, and it's all for one purpose, and that's to push out babies. And unless you marrying somebody, ain't no point in putting that to use, buddy.
Yeah. As time goes on, I don't know. I think we're fooling ourselves, guys, if we think a woman is having sex with you for anything else other than I really just try and keep you, or something like that, or something along those lines.
That's all it is, man. That's
in
what
their
it is,
minds,
innately.
right? And then we allow it.
Well, right, 100%.
Interesting stuff, Brian. Man, appreciate your call.
Thank you, Nick. Take care, man.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Rockin' calls back-to-back. Latina in Cali. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem. Have you this is your first time calling my show, huh?
Yes, to your show, yeah.
Latina and Cali in the chat, in the house. Right on. Appreciate your call.
So have you ever heard of that there was actually more than 2 people involved in the Emmett Till case?
That there was more than 2? Like other than Emmett Till and the woman?
I mean, the guys that supposedly lynched him.
Oh, okay. And so the story goes that there was 2 men who lynched Emmett Till, or 2 people?
That were taken to court, but they were not sent, like, they were found not guilty, though, right?
Gotcha. And so you're saying there's 2 more besides those 2?
Yeah.
Now, I wish I knew this Emmett Till story as in detail, but by all means, go ahead with what you're reporting and talking about.
Okay. So
I might have questions for you, but go ahead.
Okay. I tagged you. I wanted you to see the story that another YouTuber reviewed. His name is Ox Nation.
Oh.
I think it's Awk Nation News
You know, Dougal,
or something like that. And
people are usually much much more reserved with just dropping names.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
I haven't
So you're
listened
talking
to
about
it,
his
so-
YouTuber. He made a report on Emmett Till.
Yeah, but I want you to be able to go see that. So
But
that
what did you find out about Emmett Till that you want to talk about? That you found interesting?
Okay, that I found interesting and that everybody found interesting is that I thought it was interesting because Awk Nation, I'm sorry, I did it again. Well, he's a black man reported on it, right?
Hey, my hands are up here. Hands up, don't shoot. I didn't press nothing. I don't know what happened there. All right, well, thanks, Latina and Cali. I wanted to hear what you were. What'd you find out about the Emmett Till thing that had you calling into my show? What did you discover about the Emmett Till thing that you wanted to talk about? Right? Report on it yourself. You're welcome to. Because you are also, you don't need an expert. You heard it from here and heard it there, and you collect the information, then you could present it yourself. You can be a journalist too. Thomas, Michigan, thanks for your call. You're on the air.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
What's up, Thomas? First time caller on my show. Appreciate that.
Hey, I love the show, man. I've been watching the show for a long time. Watched the Friday stream.
Hey, nice.
Flight. Yeah, I've been meaning to call you for a long, long time. I'm just too busy.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the relationship between a man and a woman, and just go off what the guy was saying.
Nice.
And it really is that simple. The moment you have an expectation, or the moment you put a name onto it, everything gets so difficult, and it's crazy. It really is.
It's true. So you're saying expectations, big relationship killer, huh?
Oh, yeah. It is funny. Like, I can talk to girls no problem, but when I have an expectation from her, or let's say, okay, I wanted to do something with her, so I go meet her and chat a little bit.
Oh, you saying you met someone? I missed what you said. Sorry.
Oh, so I'm talking to somebody.
Oh, gotcha.
I have no expectation.
Our boy Tom. So you're in it? You're in the trenches?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Let's go.
Still digging.
So no expectations.
Right.
I'm following.
Yep, no expectation. And I do caught myself sometimes when I try to, make time to meet her or make time to talk to her. That's where things get really difficult or things get funny.
Describe what you mean.
So let's say I would make time to go meet her, or I make time to go talk to her. That's when my head goes crazy. It's like this voice starts talking. It's like, oh yeah, you need to say this, you need to say that, you need to plan out what you're gonna say. And on the complete opposite, you just go in, talk to her, just talk to her, ask how she's doing or anything. It is really funny.
Totally. And you found, so you're saying you found not going along with that, you're fine.
Yep.
You're saying you don't go along with all the thoughts. You're saying when you set up a date and you guys are going to meet, the thoughts go wild, telling you how to act, how to all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you don't go along with it, and things turn out fine.
Yes, sir.
Nice. I mean, it's true. It's true, guys. You look crazy doing all that.
Yep.
And you might be able to fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And they'll see you with your puffed chest, and you look crazy.
Oh, yeah. It is the devil trying to just distract you from the present.
Yep. So true. Right on, Thomas. Well, are you guys calling it boyfriend, girlfriend?
No, not yet. Not yet. We're just talking. We're just talking.
Nice. Yeah.
What about yourself?
Consider maybe not. I don't know. I'm not giving you advice. You know. But
that's actually pretty good advice.
But yeah, you just get to know each other.
Yep.
And all that. Right on.
All right, man.
Right on, Thomas. Appreciate your call. Call me again.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
No problem.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
I got Latina in Cali back. Latina in Cali. I pressed no such button. I didn't. Something must have happened there on your end. But we got you back.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Thanks.
No problem. No problem. So you were talking about Emmett Till. So what was what'd you discover? You said there was 2 more people involved in the whole Emmett Till thing. You discovered that there was actually 2 more people.
It blew my mind that the black guy was saying that the media lied to us, that they were pushing a narrative since, the 50s. They wanted the story to just be the white guys because the South's so racist, right? So then
you're saying that there were black. You're saying the 2 other guys involved were black.
Yes.
Oh.
That's what the other guy said.
And so, gotcha. I'm following you. So, are you able to confirm this information? Otherwise, have you seen anything? How did you confirm this? How did this? You saw? I heard. I know you told me already. You got it from this YouTuber. Did that person describe how they confirmed this information?
Yeah, he showed an article, and he also talked about how the MSM lies to us constantly to push narrative. And back in the 50s, it was easier to push a certain narrative by ignoring that there were other witnesses and that they actually did not even get interviewed by any FBI because the FBI has been corrupt since the 50s or even sooner. Since before World War II is what I'm told.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've never heard of this. I personally don't even know too much about the Emmett Till stuff in the first place. I know the Hake Report talked about it earlier today, and I always learn a lot when he talks about the Emmett Till stuff. I bet you I know more than I give myself credit for just for watching the Hake Report. But so yeah, that's a claim you'll have to find out for yourselves, folks. Latina and Cali here reporting. There may have been black men also involved. And also, the story was suppressed because it just doesn't fit the narrative, according to Latina and Cali. Is that fair to say, what you're saying here?
Yeah, totally.
Interesting. I guess you got to wonder because some of this, civil rights and division between the races, it's been going on for a while. But you said if you have articles or whatever, send that over, radio@jesseleepeterson.com. It might be interesting just to check it out myself. If you got those articles you mentioned or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Nice. Well, right on, Latina Cali. Thanks for your call. First-time caller. Call me again. Oh, no, sorry. Now I'm totally just lifting from the Hake Report. You know what's fun? I went, when the phone clicked. I'm stealing from the Hake Report here. You know what's funny? I used to think, maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe you guys are saying this. People used to say, the Hake Report he's just acting like Jesse. And personally, I always saw him as an individual as himself. And I thought those people were exaggerating, but maybe a little bit. Because we all kind of sound alike because we're friends and we talk to each other and we start talking like each other. It's just natural. We say the same inside jokes. We say that kind of stuff. And so when I started doing this show, I was waiting for the people to say, well, Nick is just a Hake Report clone. As the Hake Report was a supposed JLP clone. Oh. So anyways, right on, y'all. Let me see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, I believe we have a super chat. We have some back-to-back super chats here. We got one from Lin Yen Chin who says, when the English found masculinity, they evolved into Americans. The ones devoid of masculinity remain rambling fools of mere England. Ooh, is that a little shade? Is that a little shade from Lin Yen Chin? Lin Yen Chin is not one to be a stranger to giving shade, but hey, he means well, right? Right? He means well, right, chat? Lin Yen Chin might be a little shade, maybe to all English, maybe individual English people. I don't know. Da Vinci over there with the super chat on YouTube. Thank you for that. Says Nick has Rizzo for Lizzo. I disavow. Nick has Rizzo for Lizzo, right? Well, the Riz doesn't discriminate. Riz affects all. Riz. Is there one Riz fits all? Is that how that works? Can you riz one, you can riz them all. You know what I mean? Huh? Nick is pretty tall for a baby. That's true. This is true. The hosts get more black as the day goes on. JLP, Hake, Joel, and then Nick. I think that's true. Someone can take the title from me. Look, I say I'm the blackest one on the network. I say this tongue in cheek with multiple feelings about it. I revel. It's funny. I know some black culture that some others don't. I find it funny. I find it a little niche thing. But also, I'm the blackest one here. I'm maybe quicker to fight. Maybe quicker to fight. So maybe quicker to, I'm into degenerate stuff, R-rated show sometimes. It's kind of a double-edged sword here. And I'm not saying I'm claiming it. Like, someone could take it from me. Maybe it should go to a truly black person, like Joel from lineage. So hey, you guys Joel wants to take the blackest one on the network from me, but it's got to be deserved. Okay, you can't just get it out of this. We're getting in the weeds here. This comedy bit here is getting in the weeds here, but can't just give it to Joel out of what? Something like skin color? No, he's got to earn it. He's got to actually be the blackest one on the network. It has to be by merit. We're in a merit-based society, no? What a mess. If you were following the little bit. All right, y'all. I wanted to do this story, but we don't have time for that story. I want to give it justice here. Dejected and defected. Travis King. You may have heard it on the Hake Report. U.S. soldier who defected to North Korea. Interesting. Out of why? Why would he do such a thing? Why would he do such a thing? Travis King defected to North Korea. Why? Because of racism. The inhumane treatment of black people in this country. Not going to take it anymore. Once somewhere else, maybe they'll treat him better over there. Well, there's some Koreans who come over from Korea. North Korea, specifically. One, in fact, you might know, Yeonmi Park. She's kind of known in the conservative world as this North Korean defector who describes just how horrible it was over there. And she's a conservative. And she loves America. And you gotta appreciate the allies where they are. She loves America and the freedom that America has given her. She doesn't want to see the freedom in America go away. And we can all agree with that. Yeonmi Park, we're with you. There is some question about the validity of her stories, though. You ever hear about this? Some people don't. The Washington Post and others, and of course, they're fake news anyways. The Washington Post, but others too. They're questioning the validity of her and others' claims. They may have in fact uncovered a sort of underground industry of North Korean defectors who lie about their stories for money. Bombastic claims. You heard it here on American Anchor Baby. We'll leave that story for tomorrow. It's all mess. It's all mess. Nothing to be taken too seriously. Just wanted to do that story, but give a little bit of a different twist, not redo Hake Report here, as much as I do anyways. Hey, we'll leave that for tomorrow. It should be interesting. We'll got more stories too on dating and other things going on. You'll be interested. You don't want to miss it tomorrow, Thursday, American Anchor Baby at 12 noon. Of course, JLP show. We got the JLP show. Bible Thumper Thursday. You don't want to miss it. And, of course, the Hake Report. You got to love it, the Hake Report. In the last few minutes here, let's do a little human interest, kind of silly story. Doesn't matter much. Last few minutes of the show. Did you know? We did mention this. I mentioned this. AI, I kind of mentioned this. Beaming ads straight to your brain in your dreams, a la Futurama. That day is closer That day is closer. Scientists reconstruct Pink Floyd's song by listening to people's brainwaves. These Mr. Scientists, these smart individuals, are using AI and electrodes stuck straight on the brain of patients who were about to undergo epilepsy procedures. So they got 26 different individuals who had agreed to this testing. They were set to go through epilepsy surgeries. I met, in fact, a alleged sufferer of epilepsy this past Friday on Nick's stream when we did a little flight. We went into VR. You might want to check out that episode. Interesting. But these patients in this test here their brain waves were measured with electrodes. Those electric measurements were then translated using the power of AI to then recreate the memory of the Pink Floyd song, Another Brick in the Wall, from memory. You're hearing it now. You heard? Could you pick out the song? Sounded like a. Could you pick out the Pink Floyd song? Could you pick Another Brick in the Epilepsy? Could anybody pick it out? Some of you don't quite believe it. Okay, let's watch another one here. They're telling this is brainwaves translated. This is the memory of the Pink Floyd song translated by AI into audio that we're hearing now. You kind of heard it there more. Come on. Okay, so the scientists figured out how to read brainwaves. Nothing to worry about, nothing to be scared about. If tomorrow you start getting suggestive ads in your brain, in your sleep, and in your dreams, that might not be by accident. No, of course, I'm just a big stretch here. I'm just joking. But we're used to ad blocks on our websites here. We're used to downloading software that blocks invasive and intrusive ads here on our web browsing experience. Intrusive ads as we drive on the skyline of the cities. I mean, you could call it intrusive, whatever. I'm stretching it. Isn't that far? Are we that far from intrusive ads in our very own minds, which, as we know, aren't even our own anyways? We're intruded in our minds daily anyways. Is it that far of a stretch that the advertising companies will beam ads into our minds, one day requiring some sort of ad block implant? Maybe we already have the ad block implant. It's called the Silent Prayer, www.silentprayer.video. You can stop all intrusive ads and thoughts. Or at least learn to observe them. Right? Right? Shout out to the Silent Prayer. Nice. Nice way to end the show, guys. Appreciate you being with me today. Hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed the show. More American Anchor Baby tomorrow at 12. And, of course, the rest of the Bond Network holding it down. Appreciate it. Catch you tomorrow.